Hello, I'm Dan, and today I'll be going over the assembly and disassembly of the Kimber BP 10-2. The Kimber BP 10-2 is a 45 ACP 10-round polymer framed handgun that's a fairly affordable version of a Kimber 1911, and like I said, relative to some of the Kimber 1911s out there, very affordable. The difficult thing that I found when I first bought this gun was assembly and disassembly, so I'd like to go over that today, and we can run through pretty quick here. The first thing that you want to do when you're disassembling a gun is make sure that it's not loaded. First thing I do is drop the clip out. So we'll put the clip on the side. Then you can look at the loaded chamber indicator. It's this little line showing through to the chamber of the gun right here. If it's loaded, or if there's a round in the chamber, you'll see brass. I don't see anything there. So the other thing you can do is look at the external extractor, which is right over here. You can see if that's extended. If it is extended, that's an indicator that there's a round in there as well. And the last way to find out is just to pull the slide back and to look at the chamber to visualize that it's empty. So you'll pull back the chamber and you'll lock the slide stop in place. So looks good, looks empty. So now we go on to the next part, which is disassembly of the Kimber BP 10-2. So to start out with disassembly of the Kimber BP 10-2, I like to disassemble the barrel bushing first, as well as the recoil spring. I use a little bite tool for this with a 6mm hex wrench, or hex Allen wrench, and I put some pressure down on here. This is actually the recoil rod spring plug, or the spring plug, and you put pressure down on the spring plug, and then you rotate the barrel bushing clockwise, and you let up on this spring plug, or you put some pressure, counter pressure against it, otherwise it'll just pop right out of the gun. And once that's done, you can actually leave the barrel bushing, spring and everything in there. We'll remove it a little bit later, but the next step is to remove the slide, and to do that you just drop back the slide, and there's this disassembly notch, and you can see the notch here that the slide stop locks into. We did that a little bit earlier when we were checking the chamber to make sure it was empty, and right behind that is the disassembly notch. So you line that up with the back of the slide stop, and on the other side there is a round piece that you'll put pressure on to cause this to pop out, and I've already done that a little bit. I put a little bit of pressure in there. You can see it popping out now, and then you can just use a little Allen. I'm gonna pop one up here again on my bike tool, which I find actually pretty helpful for this. It's just a real little Allen, and I'll just use that to pop that out the rest of the way. So set that on the side, and then I turn the gun upside down and just pull the slide right off. And you'll see in here, now you have the barrel, you have the recoil rod, recoil spring. You can loosen the recoil spring with your fingers like you saw me do there, pull it out, and then you can just pull the recoil rod right out, put it on the side, and the barrel actually has this barrel link, and in order to get the barrel out, you'll slide it right out, and you just want the barrel link flat, and then you just lift it up a little bit because it's seated in there, and then you can just pull the barrel link right off. Oh, and what I forgot to do, I was saying we do that later, you just turn this barrel bushing counterclockwise. We turn it clockwise, you turn it counterclockwise, and you just pull it right out. Pull the barrel bushing right off of there. So that is disassembly of the main pieces on the gun. The other pieces that we're going to get to here are the extractor, which consists of the extractor pin, extractor plug, spring, and plunger. So the extractor, you'll see, sits right over here. I'm pointing to it with my finger. Then you'll see the extractor plug, which sits right on the end of the gun, right over there. You see that? And there's a spring inside of that and a plunger to hold the extractor in place. And then there's a firing pin back here, and a firing pin stop, and then a firing pin spring. So what I'll do is use this little Allen, and there's a safety mechanism here to keep the pin from coming out on its own. And this will allow you to depress the pin. You push on the safety piece, depress the pin, and you drop the safety pin stop down, the firing pin stop down rather. So push the safety piece, depress the firing pin, and slide the firing pin stop down. It's just that simple. And when I take this firing pin stop out, what's going to happen is the extractor is going to come out. There's a little notch in the extractor plug that ties in with this firing pin stop. And once the firing pin stop comes out, the extractor pin and spring are going to come out. So you just want to put a little bit of pressure over that. I usually just place my finger right over top of that. So I'm going to do that as I slide this piece up, and there we have the extractor plug, extractor spring, extractor plunger, and then the extractor itself falls right out. And then the firing pin stop falls right out as well. The next step is releasing the firing pin. So to release it the remainder of the way, you just press on the safety piece again while pushing your finger against the firing pin. I find this helps best. You may want to put a blanket or something behind the firing pin just in case it comes out, because they can really fly. They're under quite a bit of pressure. So I'm going to push down on this. I've done this a lot, so I'll just do it kind of so you can see. I'm going to put one finger over the firing pin and push on the safety device, and it just releases and everything comes out. And you can hold on to the firing pin with one hand, hold onto the firing pin spring with the other hand, and you can just turn it and it'll come right off. And that's all for disassembly of the gun. We'll reassemble it. You'd be cleaning in this interval and oiling up the parts that need to be oiled, which I've already done last night. So we'll just go over the assembly here in a minute.